If you've ever bought a cheap budget Bluetooth speaker that sounded great on the box but turned into a tinny disappointment after a weekend on the patio, you know the sting of buyer's remorse. You start to wonder whether spending a little extra for a name you don't recognize is really worth it, or if you're just throwing money at another hype-driven gadget that will collect dust. That hesitation is exactly what I felt when I first saw the Escape P6AIRWHITE, a portable outdoor speaker that promises audiophile-grade sound, a 6.5-inch subwoofer, and full weatherproofing. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. I'm not the type to jump on a product just because it looks sleek. I usually spend a few evenings scrolling through forums, reading the few available user comments, and comparing specs with the real-world scenarios I care about: a backyard barbecue, a beach sunrise, or a lazy Sunday in the living room when the kids are napping. The biggest fear is ending up with a speaker that either dies after a couple of hours, can't survive a sudden drizzle, or simply mutes the nuance in the music I love. With the Escape P6AIRWHITE, the promise is clear: a blend of high-resolution audio and rugged design that should, in theory, cover those bases. First off, let's talk about the category itself. Portable outdoor speakers sit at the intersection of three main expectations: decent sound quality, resistance to the elements, and flexible connectivity. Most entry-level models sacrifice one for the other. You get a waterproof case but a tinny soundstage, or you get a booming bass that quickly fades once you step outside. Audiophiles who want a big room vibe in a 12-inch package are rare, and that's where Escape positions this model. It's built on the P6AIRWHITE platform, which has a solid reputation among Escape's lineup, and it adds AirPlay 2 and Chrome streaming on top of standard Bluetooth. That means you can pull a playlist from an iPhone, an Android device, or even a Mac without juggling cables. What really caught my eye was the 6.5-inch subwoofer. In the portable world, that size is more commonly found on floor-standing speakers, not on a device you're expected to lug to the beach. In practice, the sub does deliver a surprisingly full low end. I tested it at a small garden party, playing a mix of electronic dance tracks and acoustic folk. The bass didn't just thump, it stayed articulate, letting the kick drum punch while still keeping the higher frequencies clear enough to hear vocal details. When the wind picked up, the speaker's weatherproof enclosure, rated for rain and splashes, held up. I even set it on a damp dock while the tide came in. After 10 minutes of gentle rain, the sound was unchanged, and there was no sign of distortion or electronic hiccup. Connectivity is another practical pain point for many buyers. The Escape P6AIRWHITE supports Bluetooth 5.0, AirPlay 2, and Chromecast. I tried switching between a Spotify playlist on my phone, a YouTube video on a Chrome browser, and an Apple Music album via AirPlay. Each transition was seamless, and there was no noticeable latency when I used it as a secondary speaker for my TV. The multi-room capability is also worth noting, because it's part of Escape's ecosystem. You can pair 2 or more P6 units and have the same track playing in sync across the backyard and the poolside cabana. That feature is usually reserved for higher-end home audio systems, not for a speaker you're expected to carry around. Now, who should actually consider putting this speaker in their cart? If you're a music lover who refuses to compromise on sound, even when you're outdoors, this is a solid match. Think of people who host weekend grill sessions, yoga instructors who need a reliable soundtrack for outdoor classes, or anyone who wants a speaker that can double as a living room centerpiece when the weather turns cool. The fact that it comes in a clean white finish also means it doesn't scream tech. It blends nicely with modern patio furniture or a beach blanket. On the flip side, if you're after a tiny, ultra-lightweight speaker that fits in a pocket, or if you're strictly budget-conscious, the P6AIRWHITE might feel like overkill. Its 6.5-inch driver and robust housing add a bit of weight. It's not something you'd want to strap to a hiking backpack for a day-long trek. The price point sits above the typical $50–$100 range you see for basic portable models, so expect to spend more for that audiophile edge. Also, because it's designed for higher fidelity, you'll notice it draws more power, meaning the battery life, while respectable, won't outlast the cheapest models that can run 12-hour loops on a single charge. practical strengths sum up to 3 core ideas: sound depth, weather resilience, and versatile streaming. The subwoofer gives you that low-frequency presence you usually only hear in a living room setup, while the mid-range remains clean enough for acoustic guitars and vocals. The weatherproof rating means you can leave it on a covered patio without fearing water damage, and the ability to stream